I'm Lin-Manuel Miranda, and you're listening to Hard Knock Life.
Well, it's the NOC in full color. You see me? The Hard Knock Life. Comics, movies, and TV.
Welcome to Hard Knock Life. I'm Keith Chow. I'm actually rolling solo this week. Brittany and Dominic will be back next week. Just wanted to do a special episode. I just got out of seeing Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. We rented out a theater with the fucking Do It cast guys, Jamie and Brandon. And so we're going to play some audio we recorded before we went in to see the movie, and then our instant reactions from the film as soon as we got out. Before we get to those reactions, I wanted to play some audio from an interview I did with Snake Eyes himself, Henry Golding, back in May. I'll also drop the link from the original written interview on the Nerds of Color in the description. But check out my conversation with Henry Golding. After that, you're going to hear Jamie and my reactions to Snake Eyes. And I'll come back at the very end with my final thoughts on the movie. And then, like I said, next week, we'll be back to regular scheduled programming on Hard Knock Life.
Hey Keith, what's up?
Hi, Henry.
I see a Larry Hama figure back there.
Oh, yes, I have a lot of...
And a Snake Eyes figure.
I'm definitely here for you, Henry.
Yee-hoo!
Well, I just am so excited to get a chance to talk to you. I'm a huge fan of yours.
Thank you.
And clearly, I'm a huge fan of Snake Eyes. One of the things that I've been talking so much about at the Nerds of Color is the notion that Snake Eyes could be and should be an Asian American character. And when you were announced as, I have to admit, I was on vacation in Japan at the time. And as soon as your casting was announced, on my phone, I wrote a post about it just because I was so happy.
Oh, amazing.
Because I finally get to see an Asian person play Snake Eyes. What was it about the role for you when you were approached to play the part? And what was your history with the character?
I think it goes to what you said. It was the fact that that they went to me and asked me if I was willing to play this character, going against what has been known in the past as, you know, this character is a blonde hair, blue-eyed sort of warrior, but for the sole reason of being a fish out of water. So it was a foil. His race was a foil. And that's what I wanted to prove wrong. I wanted to make people understand that even as Asian Americans, when you're taken back to, let's say, Asia, Japan, for this instance, you are going to be a fish out of water. There's no doubt about it. Cultures are so complex and so different. And I always go through sort of describing it as like, you can take a Caucasian person from America and drop them in the middle of Europe. Do you think they're going to feel at home?
Right.
No way.
That was the beauty of Crazy Rich Asians, right? Like Constance's character was all about the culture clash of an Asian American in Asia. And, you know, the Nerds of Color we became infamous because we rallied around the idea of, it wasn't Snake Eyes, it was Iron Fist at the time when they were casting for that show. And I had said Asian Americans should play that. And to your point, the argument was, well, the white guy is the fish out of water in Asia. And it totally erases the lived experience of Asian Americans.
It plays to the race narrative, which people are so still sadly willing to believe that you have to be of a different color to be a fish out of water. It's
right.
Stupid. It's absolutely insane. So let's throw that out the window, take this iconic character and do what was necessary to give him what people really understand to be a fish out of water. His history, his choice, his motivations, the bad decisions that he's made, the lessons that he's going to be learning, and see him as a human rather than, you know, a box on a government form of like Asian, Hispanic, white, black. Like, let's do away with that.
And I think why Snake Eyes was so compelling when I was a kid is that, you know, you talked about the Larry Hama figure. The file card said real name classified, background classified. You know, you didn't know what he looked like. He wore this full mask. He was a mute, so you didn't hear him. And so, like, I always assumed he was Asian because he was my favorite character. He must look like me under the mask. And it was always so hard. I've actually told Larry this a few times. It was so heartbreaking when I got to the issue where they took the mask off and he was a blonde, you know, or when you saw him and Tommy and Stalker in Vietnam and he was a white guy.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, the idea of, like you said, whoever's under that mask can be anybody. That's the power of that mask.
Well, exactly. And that gives, you know, with this origin story, it gives the believability that anyone can become someone like Snake Eyes, because he is human at the end of the day. He's not a superhero. He wasn't gifted with these powers. He didn't fall in a vat of nuclear sauce and came out with like bursting eyeballs. Like, he's a guy who went through the ringer. He's been dragged through the dirt, but he decided to pick himself up. He decided to make the right choices and make amends for the wrong ones that he made. And all of it's explained in the story.
Yeah.
Which is the most exciting part. You know, this movie is all about character creation. And the character that's so complex as Snake Eyes needs a whole movie to explain him. And that's why we're so excited.
I'm very excited. He's one of those characters that like you never knew his origin. So like the fact that you get to see it play out is so exciting. I will ask, you know, as an actor, as someone who gets to play this role, knowing that if it does go on into future roles, as we said, Snake Eyes is a character that never takes his mask off. He doesn't speak. Was that ever any concern that like if this does take off and I make sequels that I'm going to be like not showing my face or talking for the next 5 movies?
Not at all. I think creatively it can be sort of worked with. Mm-hmm. There are moments where, because who he is as a character doesn't need to say anything.
Yeah.
His actions speak louder than his words. And I think, you know, we definitely didn't make him some sort of like chatterbox kind of Ryan Reynolds kind of like, you know, right, funny guy. That's not who he is, because that's not who drives this character. And so creatively, we made the decisions to give him the dialogue we did. And you'll see, and it's perfect, I think, because with everything he says, there's so much meaning behind it. He's not talking for the sake of talking. But I think, you know, there are going to be times where he takes that silence, and he truly is that character. But of course, you can't live behind a mask your entire life. It goes back to our first conversation, is he's a human.
Yeah.
He's a dude that just like you and me, but he has like extraordinary talents in which he worked hard for.
And one of the human things about him is his relationship with Tommy, with Storm Shadow. Mm-hmm. Can you just talk real briefly about what it was like working with Andrew and playing that like Storm Shadow Snake Eyes relationship, that like rivalry, that friendship turned rivalry turned maybe friendship? I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. You're completely right, because it is one of the most complex relationships in comic book history.
Yeah.
One moment they're on the same side. The next moment they're fighting against each other. The next one they're combining forces for the good of whatever it is, and then, you know, they're back and forth. But the through line through those entire sort of backs and forths is their history.
Yeah.
And this is what we build in this movie. You need to understand what drives them to have that such passionate relationship moving forward. Why are they so feverishly sort of hating each other, but at the same time have this sense of brotherhood? You know, you need that sense of jeopardy within a relationship. And I think breaking all the characters down and starting from the beginning, you will only be able to get that. So moving forward, this universe of G.I. Joes will only go from strength to strength if we do exactly what we're doing. And that's micro-examining every character and giving them the history they deserve.
Well, I can't wait. The last question I'll ask, I only have a few minutes left. You know, John Chu discovered you for Crazy Rich Asians. He also directed the best G.I. Joe movie until July with G.I. Joe Retaliation. When you got the part, did you reach out to John and say, hey, man,
I mean,
we're both in the G.I. Joe family now?
Me and John have kept like best friends through this entire period. And he had Ray's Snake Eyes character on his wall at home. And when I came to him with the news, he was just like, he just points to it and he's like, this is unbelievable. You know, from finding you in Singapore to who you're becoming, and now you're the character that I've had on my wall and I've worked on in these movies. John is like the best human being and the most amazing cheerleader in my career, and he's blown away at what we've sort of been able to show him, and he's so excited for this movie. And I agree, like he made one of the best G.I. Joe films. I loved it. And yeah, he couldn't be prouder.
Well, I am as well. I can't wait. Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. Snake Eyes is my favorite character, as you can probably tell. And I'm so excited to speak with you about it. And Good luck in the future. And I can't wait to put your action figure on my shelf with all of the other
100%.
All right.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you, Henry.
Take care.
What's up? This is Keith Chow.
This is Jamie Noguchi.
We are outside the theater about to watch Snake Eyes. This is a Hard Knock Life fucking do it crossover.
Crossover.
What do you expect is going to happen? Well, first of all, we rented a theater. I think if you listen to the fucking Do It cast, you know we're renting a theater for Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
We're about to walk in and watch it. I know you guys just did a Snake Eyes episode.
Yeah.
What are you hoping for?
I am genetically predisposed to enjoy ninja shit, even though it's like the most stereotypical Asian thing. But like, I don't know. We saw the trailer when we watched Fast 9 and we were like, all right, we're going to watch this somehow. And we got Keith on the horn and he was like, yes, let's rent
I've been waiting 40 years for this movie.
Yeah. So,
I will rent any fucking theater.
Like, this is Snake Eyes as I expected him to be, like an Asian dude. Like, when I found out that he wasn't, I blew my mind. It's like, find out Yul Brynner is some like Russian dude.
Yeah. It's a correction.
Yeah.
That's 40 years in the making. We're about to walk in and see it.
Yeah.
We'll come back on the other end, tell you what we thought. And I will just say this, no matter how bad it is, I will not admit it because I've been wanting an Asian Snake Eyes my entire life.
So it
could suck and I don't care.
We just watched Enter the Dragon last night, and when I was growing up, I watched Enter the Dragon like 5 days a week in the summer. And even though it's one of my favorite martial arts movies, the plot is terrible.
Well, that's because you're concentrating on the finger.
And missing all the heavenly
glory. Well, we're about to go check out some Heavenly Glory.
Yeah.
We'll come back on the other side, tell you what we actually think of the movie, and
Yeah.
then we'll see what happens then.
Excited.
All right.
This ain't just a Toy Story or a foreign unboxing. These are the stories of action, toy glory, and work clocking. SH Figure Arts, Black Series are hot toys. And figures with transformation sequences that make noise. Check out the joints and the many points of articulation. We're celebrating the global collector nation. Sit back, relax, and get ready to rock this. Here's the real Chow. Welcome to Shelf
Hey,
Conscious.
this is Keith Chow, and I want to talk to you about a brand new show coming to the Hard Knock Media Network. Shelf Conscious is all about being a collector of toys, action figures, and everything in between. We're going to be talking to fellow collectors, folks from the toy industry, and media properties related to toys and action figures like Masters of the Universe and Snake Eyes. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube.com/TheNerdsOfColor, and follow us on Twitter @ShelfConNOC. Also, special shout out to Jamie Noguchi for the artwork and the dope theme music. So that's Shelf Conscious, the podcast where we come collect. See you soon. All right, we just got out of the movie. Jamie can't stop laughing.
The only way to take this at all seriously is to frame it as a romance movie. Otherwise, it falls instantly apart.
Hey, look, I'm going to just be straight up. I told you before we went in, I'm going to love this movie regardless. I've been waiting for it for 40 years.
We saw Larry.
Larry Hama had a cameo.
Yeah.
It's a movie. It's a 2-hour Arashikage Clan movie. Like, they couldn't call it the Arashikage Clan movie, but like, if you're going to make a G.I. Joe movie, you make an Arashikage Clan movie. And that's what they did. So I don't care, like, but magic stones and giant snakes, I don't give a shit.
There were no makeouts. Tommy and Snake Eyes did not make out, even though they were making eyes at each other the entire time. I looked into his eyes, and I saw his heart, because you want to fuck him.
No. So we're joined by Brandon Chalmers and Will West. What did you guys think of the movie?
I challenge anyone on the internet or anyone that I know to name a better movie based on a toy.
Will.
I thought it was a strong movie. I mean, as far as the ninja stuff went, as a launching pad for G.I. Joe, I'm not so sure about that.
Look, like I said, the best part of any G.I. Joe story is the ninjas anyway. Like,
I will say it was the best G.I. Joe movie that we've seen in the theater.
Setting a high bar, Jamie.
Because we've seen all the others in the theater, and we never saw the animated one in the theater, so...
I was ready to say best live action G.I. Joe.
yeah.
I am a little disappointed that a motorcycle didn't turn into missiles this time.
Yeah.
I'll do you one better. It's the best movie based on a Hasbro property. Because someone mentioned it earlier.
How dare you talk ill of Masters of the Universe?
Well, Masters Universe is Mattel #1.
Oh, shit.
And if anyone puts...
Pull my nerd card right
exactly,
now.
I already did. If anyone ranks any of the 7 Transformers movies over this, then they can just turn off the podcast
Bumblebee.
I was gonna say-
Bumblebee. Oh, I forgot about Bumblebee.
Bumblebee kicks the shit out of this movie by a long shot. Come
I
on.
still put Bumblebee's the best Transformers
Wait, hang
movie,
on.
but
Did
that's...
Bumblebee have ninjas?
Yeah, there's no ninjas in. There are no Asian. Well, Haley Steinfeld's part Filipino. I guess.
Yeah. There was gonna be cross species making.
The thing
out, too.
is, I think the lesson is if you want your Hasbro movie to be good, cast Asian people in it.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So, final verdict: Snake Eyes.
You should fucking watch it.
All right.
You should put it on in the background.
Yeah.
Definitely watch it. It's worth your time.
Yeah.
It's the best movie of all time. Thank you very much. This has been Hard Knock Life. Hey, it's Keith again. As promised, I said I would give some initial thoughts about Snake Eyes. Like I said in my instant reaction at the theater with Jamie and the guys, I was going to love this movie no matter what. It's a Snake Eyes movie. It's the Snake Eyes movie I've always wanted with an Asian American lead. And Henry Golding was great. The standout by 100% is Andrew Koji as Storm Shadow. One of the reasons I'm hoping we'll get a Snake Eyes sequel, and I don't know how likely that would be considering its box office. I want to know where the story with Tommy and Snake Eyes goes in the future. Because the way they set up the future arc of Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes is probably the most successful thing about the movie, without letting the blinders kind of color my opinion of the film. There were some things in it that were not great, and spoilers from here on out. The giant CGI snakes was weird, and the subplot around the Jewel of the Sun, this magic rock that everyone's after, this MacGuffin that, you know, for lack of a better word, should have been something that powered a weapon and not necessarily been a magic stone itself that makes things catch on fire. That was weird. I wish the Arashikage stuff was more of the movie. As people have noted, some of the G.I. Joe shoehorning is a little clunky, but I gotta say Ursula Corbero and Samara Weaving are those versions of those characters brought to life. Samara Weaving as Scarlet, I want to see more of. She didn't get a lot to do in this movie. I was hoping for some more Scarlet Snake Eyes team-ups. Again, that's teased for a future sequel. Maybe we'll get a Scarlet Snake Eyes mission to find Storm Shadow. That would be very reminiscent of the comic books. You know, there was the famous storyline where Storm Shadow kidnaps Scarlet and Snake Eyes has to save her. That was the famous Silent Interlude issue. Would love to have something like that take place. Now, I know a lot of fanboys are already mad that they cast an Asian American actor to play Snake Eyes. A lot of fanboys are mad that he talks in the movie, that he's not disfigured. Remember, this is the before times. This is before he becomes Snake. Even in the comics, there was a period of time where Snake Eyes wasn't the silent commando ninja. That said, some of the decisions they made with that character, I also didn't think were great. If you go into the movie and you assume that Snake Eyes is the main guy, it can be argued Snake Eyes is the villain of the Snake Eyes movie and that Storm Shadow is the protagonist, is the hero who has the tragic fall at the end. And, you know, I have some qualms with that, but, you know, it made for some great storytelling. You know, there were a couple points in the movie where, like, you know, Snake Eyes just decides to make the wrong choice every time. But that's where, you know, it's kind of like the argument for Superman killing in Man of Steel, I guess. He's got to do the shitty thing in order to learn how to not do the shitty thing in the future. So I think it's a great setup for a future G.I. Joe franchise. Whether or not we'll ever get that can be argued. If we do get a Snake Eyes 2, because this is very much leading into a Snake Eyes 2 and not necessarily a new G.I. Joe movie, because Snake Eyes doesn't actually become the Snake Eyes we know until sometime after this movie happens. So there's still a whole lot of story that needs to happen before we get to the iconic canonical version of Snake Eyes. That said, I'm all in for a Snake Eyes trilogy before we get to a proper G.I. Joe movie universe. How likely that'll happen? Again, G.I. Joe is not the biggest franchise in the world right now. By all accounts, the people my age are the only ones who care for it. And, you know, they've pissed off a bunch of people my age. So what does that say? Anyway, I'm all in for it. Maybe give us a new screenwriter, a new director for a follow-up. I would be happy to throw my hat in that ring if you're listening, Paramount and Hasbro. But I'm more than pleased. This is the movie I've always wanted to see. Andrew Koji gives a phenomenal performance. Haruka Abe gives a phenomenal performance as Akiko. She's a character that is the other breakout for me. I went into the movie not knowing anything about her. She's brand new to the canon. I was kind of curious about her action figure. Now I can't wait. I pre-ordered the action figure anyway because I'm that guy. But I can't wait to get it now because she was my other favorite character in this film. So yeah, give us more Arashikage stuff. Give us more Snake Eyes. That's my biggest endorsement of this movie. And I encourage everyone, go see it. Even if you're not into G.I. Joe, it'll be a fun action movie. It'll be a fun ninja movie. And yeah, that's, what can I say? Like, this is the culmination of 40 years, and you get what you wish for sometimes if you wish hard enough. So that's my takeaway. Anyway, that's Hard Knock Life for this week. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Henry and my reactions to Snake Eyes. Next week, we'll be back with the whole crew. Business as usual, talking about all the things in Nerd Pop. Until then, follow us on Twitter at The Nerds of Color, and follow me personally at The Real Chow, _real_chow. Follow Dominic at Domma, DOMMAH, and follow Brittany at Hi Brittany Monet. Go to hardknockmedia.com to find this and all of the podcasts in the network, including the Fucking Do It cast, who were so gracious to hop on board this week and share their thoughts on Snake Eyes as well. Subscribe and download at Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you get podcasts. Please give us a rating and a review if you do, because that's what helps people find our podcast. And subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/nerdsofcolor for all the cool video content we've been putting out almost on a daily basis now. So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you're missing out. Please go hit that subscribe button. Don't smash it. Just hit it once and hit those notification bells so you get notified every time we post new videos, which is, again, is almost every day. Thanks so much for listening to the Nerds of Color, and now you know, and knowing's half the battle.